Adam, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So this is feature picture story. The description says a multiple picture entry of a story, series, or sequence on a general human interest subject. So this first one, finding home.
April Austin deals with separation and divorce from her husband while caring for her 4 children and being pregnant. Over the course of a school year, the family has dealt with homelessness, transportation issues, illness, and poverty, with one goal in mind: that April's oldest, Jenna Bolden, 17, graduate from high school.
Second one is strength.
Sophia Smith is a 7-year-old girl from Streetsboro, Ohio, who is learning how to walk again in her home and in therapy. Smith was born with spastic diplegia, a form of cerebral palsy, and was in a wheelchair until she was 3. She learned to walk then, but it was very limited and was in a wheelchair after other surgeries later in life, including the most recent surgery.
Hidden hollow.
Since Hidden Hollow was founded in 1940, the campus stayed true to its mission to provide an organic experience by separating campers from their phones and devices and immersing them in nature for the duration of their stay.
Odds.
Vermilion High School student Cameron Cam Colohan was 15 years old when she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. The type of cancer, Valiomar rhabdomyosarcoma, was considered rare. Cam and her family were told the cancer was aggressive, very difficult to beat, and would take a lot of treatment. During treatment, Cam was looked at as a symbol of strength and encouragement, her mom, Amy, said. If Cameron had her hair, you wouldn't look at her and know she is sick. After 9 months of grueling treatment, Cam reached remission.
Shaved.
No story summary, but the first caption is Nora Grew, 7, heads to the stage to get her head shaved at Fado Irish Pub. Nora and her mom, Molly, raised $12,000 together for the St. Baldrick's Foundation for research to help combat childhood cancers. They were among 64 people who had their heads shaved. Molly Grew said it was all Nora's idea to get involved in the head shaving fundraiser to remember a boy who had attended Nora's preschool and died of cancer about 5 years ago. They were also honoring a 17-year-old girl from Westerville who's currently battling a brain tumor.
Farming for life.
Lowell Clifford bought his farm in 1971. Now an 83-year-old widower, he is trying to care for it alone. Despite losing his wife, Mary Sue, Lowell has kept his farm going. He works from early morning to past sunset.
Tupper's Plains.
Where routes 781 and 7 come to a crossroads in Meigs County, Ohio, amid rolling hills and open fields, sits the unincorporated community of Tupper's Plains. Located on the boundary of both Orange and Olive Townships, the concept of community for area residents is largely defined by their relationships with each other and the land rather than the lines drawn on a map.
Nurse.
Nurse Becca Copley with CHH Home Medicine in Huntington, West Virginia, is the only general practice healthcare provider for many in Lawrence County, Ohio, a rural area along the Ohio River in the southernmost part of the state. Her patients, homebound and often elderly, rely on her weekly visits to manage their health conditions. She works exclusively in the field, spending her days making house calls at her patients' homes. When you go into a home, it's a different experience than seeing a patient in an office, she said. You see their living situation, you see their family.
Georgia.
Georgia, an English Bulldog mix, is training to become an emotional therapy dog with help from students. The dog was a stray from Atlanta where she contracted an infection. The infection partially eroded the bones in her back legs, leaving them of little use. She gets around either by using her front legs, riding a doggy wheelchair, or carted around in a radio flyer wagon.
Egg drop.
There's no story summary with this, but I'll just read it. Imagination Station volunteer Morgan Hayward of Toledo and Abby Mace, Day 8 of Mason. As Abby Day's parachute begins its descent in the egg drop challenge at Imagination Station in Toledo, Ohio.
Kosher.
The Jewish Living Center of Greater Toledo sponsors Shop Till You Drop, Kosher Passover and Lunch, a free bus trip departing from Sylvania, Ohio on April 9th to a kosher bakery, grocery, and butcher in southeast Michigan. The trip for seniors facilitates the Keeping Kosher for Passover, which begins April 19th.
Street art.
Street artist Sterling Farley uses spray paint to create art on a cinder block covered window in Plum Alley on Friday, July 5th, 2019 in Mount Vernon, Ohio. Farley, originally a Columbus resident, found himself stranded in Knox County but quickly fell in love with the town. Deciding to stay a while, Farley was commissioned by a business owner, Larry Willison, to create something fun in the alley behind the newly reopened Woodward Opera House.
farm story.
Arthur and Bryce Hollenbach have learned responsibility from a young age while also gaining the independence that comes with growing up on a farm. The boys live on the farm with their parents, Andy and Mamie, who bought it just before Arthur was born, and there is nothing Andy Hollenbach would rather be than a farmer. It's hard work, it's hot, it's dusty, it's unforgiving, but through all of that, man, I love it. For the Hollenbachs, it's not just a business, it's a way of life and a legacy for their children.
Jasmine.
The summer before her sophomore year, Jasmine Harkin's mother was killed in a car accident. Jasmine was in the car with her mom and younger siblings who she pulled from the wreckage. A few weeks later, her father died by suicide. Jasmine has overcome the tragedy with grace and graduated with honors and a full scholarship to Kent State University. Her advice is to, quote, just remember that you have things that are important to you, and if you let what's happening take over what you're doing with your life, things are going to fall behind and you might not be able to pick them back up. You might not be able to fix the things you let got while you were struggling.
Chicken Rebels.
There's no summary, but the first caption is Beverly Skinner left watches Jane Otterbein prepare breakfast Tuesday, February 26, 2019 in Monroe, Ohio. They live in a barn, run a dog kennel, and sell chicken eggs together as a married couple on a small piece of land before Monroe turns into Middletown.
Sullivan.
Nowhere in Columbus is there an area more plagued with prostitution and drug abuse than a 3-mile span of Sullivan Avenue that runs from the edge of downtown from Dodge Park to Hague Avenue. There are more than 1,000 abandoned houses along the streets under the control or touching Sullivan, some of which are occupied by dope sick people under the control of human traffickers. They squat there in what they call their abandonmeniums. In that environment, crime is rampant. Sorrow and despair permeate daily life. Sullivan neighborhood was sparked by the death of Donna Dalton Castleberry, who was shot and killed off a block of Sullivan Avenue in August 2018 by Andrew Mitchell, a former vice officer who was working undercover that day. He has been charged with murder in her death and is awaiting trial. Normally, people associate prostitution with the night, but the reality is that women selling sex can be seen in broad daylight at any hour of the day on Sullivan.
The Ballad of Life.
Mark Johnson has spent the majority of his 54 years honoring his Cherokee Indian bloodline. It's a life full of passion and love and spiritual awakening, paired with friendships and memories that will last a lifetime. Quote, it's the same all your life. The old story again about the grandmother passed down through the generations. I believed that. I see her. I seen how she looked. I love her. Johnson has attended powwows for the last 20 years. In that time, he has learned to craft his own regalia and taught himself how to bead.
Ballet.
No summary, but the first caption is Ava Katz 9 sits in a patch of sun and watches her reflection move in the mirror during her ballet moves class on Saturday, February 16, 2019 at the Cincinnati Ballet. Ava has Down syndrome. She has been part of the class for 5 years. Ballet has helped strengthen her core, which helps language skills, and it has given Ava more confidence. When asked how many more years she wants to dance, she was quick to respond, 100 dozen more.
Sister?
No summary, but the first caption is Sister Rose Ann Fleming watches Xavier men's basketball team practice before their game against Georgetown at the Cintas Center on Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. Fleming has worked at Xavier University for 34 years as a teacher, academic advisor, special assistant to the president, and NCAA faculty athletics representative.
Ukraine war.
For 5 years now, Ukraine has been engaged in an unending war between Russian-backed separatists and the Ukrainian military in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine. Once a high-profile war that began with the Euromaidan Revolution and the Russian annexation of Crimea, the conflict now simmers and bleeds into the daily life of the people and soldiers living on the front lines. With neither side progressing their front lines, the war is now characterized by artillery bombardments and erratic gunfights along the front lines, which cut through small villages in the mostly rural and gas-rich region.
All right. We'll go back through from the top here and do some judging. That's in.
Doing both.
Out. 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 In. Out. In. Out. 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 In. In. Out. 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 In. Okay. Who has some favorites or any that they want to talk about?
I like a farm story.
Me too.
I wanted to look at that one and compare it to the other farming one, the first one, Farming for Life,
Mm-hmm.
because Farming for Life has some lovely frames, and I just feel like it's missing the actual farming part of it.
Yeah. The other one just has so many more little moments and,
It
depth.
details, yeah. It really this one definitely shows the full spectrum of farm life.
And
Yeah,
each photo is really a nice photo.
I agree.
That one's at the top for me right now.
Me too.
I'm in that. What do we want to hold on to the other one, or do we want to lose it?
I like it, so I don't think I would lose it yet.
Okay. I mean, there's some, like, even just the barn doors with the sun coming through and him
Really?
getting into his coveralls and things like that. They're just such nice frames. There's just not really any farming going on.
Yeah, it's a very, lonely feeling story, but it is
That's part of the story, really.
right. I mean, there's the one where he's up with the bells, right? Isn't he doing something there? Or
Is he in that one?
Yeah, it looks like he is. Oh, he's just standing there, sort of. So he's not really farming, but again, they're lovely.
He's 83 years old, right?
Yeah.
I just don't even, I mean, he doesn't have to actually be doing work, but we don't even really see the farm. I mean, that first frame, you see the animals a little bit, but I just want something to really set it.
Yeah, 1 and 3, with the cats, I'd go with 1. Probably.
One's a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
Inviting. It draws you into the story. But I don't think if you keep 1, you keep 3. But anyway, that's just.
If we talk about Nurse,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I just going in order here.
No, you're fine.
We talked access earlier, and this is some great access. I think we have a little bit of repetition here, but also there's some really nice use of detail to tell this story.
I almost want to see what the toll of this takes on the nurse, I want to see that end of the day picture when she's not doing an action,
I agree.
Yeah.
but being who she is, because I think she's lost in it.
I would love to see something tight of her, whether, just her face either at the end of the day or something of her interacting with people. There's really nice photos of her doing her job, but I don't get a sense of her personality at all.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, I'm assuming that's her just with her hair down 8. Yeah, I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some nice images, and
Very nice.
I think I agree with you guys, though. It could be more to get a sense of person.
I don't feel it's a top 3, but
I don't think it is.
this one had a lot of moments. I mean, little things that could go as well. We deal with the prom thing for a decent amount of it. I'm assuming that's what that is, some sort of dance.
Yeah, prom and a graduation,
And I don't get a lot of difference in perspective here, no tight.
and I mean, there's nice frames in here, and I just didn't really get a huge sense of the story from it. It was just the photos don't carry the narrative.
Yeah, I agree.
Where are you guys on this one?
I think it's got pictures you can lose in this one too.
I think there's some really compelling images in here, though.
Yeah. Still not one of my top 3.
I don't know that it is either.
This one, I get the images, but it's a lot of nothingness. There's a lot of people with guns, but other than that, I'm not really feeling a lot. I mean, I love 5 and 1 and 8. I just wanted something a little bit more from this.
Yeah.
I guess I would have liked to have seen more daily life going on in this situation.
Yeah.
It's all very static.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement that the first farm one is our top choice?
I think I agree.
I'd like it.
Okay. That's where I'm at too.
Okay. We'll make that happen. Do we have a nomination for a second place then?
Dang, you're really making us work now.
You don't have to give it. You can just give one if you want to just call it
Oh, no.
quits. But
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. It's just choosing second and third for me.
yeah.
I think the next best collection might be this other farm story.
Yeah.
I wish there was more. But with this one, there's not a ton I would edit out of this one.
Yeah, there are definitely some beautiful images and the details and things.
I like the pacing of it with tight and loose, and that one beautiful light streaming through the door. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So is that we can agree
like
that
it.
would be second then?
I like it in 2. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know that there's something else I like more than that, so
Yeah.
I'm good with
I
that.
agree.
Okay.
And if we're doing a third, I think for me it's between Nurse and Finding Home. And I'm interested in your all's opinions on that. I think nurse is almost there in terms of being that complete story showing everything we need.
Yeah, the thing like with it though, it's just like, here's Jane, this is what Jane does.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
For me,
And-
there's a big hole in that story in telling about who she is as a person. But can we go back to the home one?
Can we look through these ones big again? Because that was one of the first ones we went through.
Right.
Like, I really like this series here. And I do think there's some that could get dropped, but
I like it better than the nurse one, for sure.
I think I do too. It's also an excellent demonstration of access and trust.
Yeah, they spent time for sure.
I like this one better for third, although I think the nurse one is strong. It just has that one hole in it for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And
Do we want to keep the other two as honorable mentions as well, or
I could
just leave it
probably,
with nurse?
what do you guys think?
I kind of want to drop this one.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell me a story.
We can use that one.
Yeah. Marsha, you all right with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
What do you all think about Ukraine? And they're nice images, but it's kind of just static pictures of life.
There's about 3 or 4 pictures in there that I like, but
I agree. I would leave it as an honorable mention.
I'm good with that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good. So a farm story is first. Farming for Life is second. Finding a Home third. Nurse and Ukraine War honorable mention. Bob, you get all those?
I believe I have. Let's see here. 3. 1. Yep.
You know, it's very strange, you guys.
Okay.
This is the second category we awarded first and second place to 2 stories that were similar. I don't know what that says about us.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think